All right, so thank you all for being here for the New Earth Roundtable. So basically, I'd like to let this space be a place for, unconditional love, ideas that come from unconditional love. That is all I would like to enter this circle, and I'd love to just leave fear at the door. And I'm sure all of us have different perspectives and different ideas, and I would just like for us all to respect, those different viewpoints and take what resonates and leave the rest. So what I'm going to do is we're going to call in protection, and then I'm going to draw names for people to go, and each person can share their view. And at the end, we will have a meditation guided by Sarah Leverett, where we will take all of these ideas and, take what resonates and envision this new earth and our future. So just make sure I've got everybody muted. Or actually, if you're not muted, if you could just mute yourself until it's your turn, that would be awesome. And then I can put this on speaker view. So Kris, are you ready to call in protection for us?
Hi. Yes. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Thanks.
Okay, let's get started. I just have this typed up. So this is our dragon invocation of protection. Thank you to our dragon partners and guides for surrounding and protecting this roundtable with white light from Source Creator. Thank you for protecting all the content that will be shared here with your wisdom. Thank you for surrounding each participant and individual who watches this event with light so that they receive the highest frequency from Source Creator. Thank you for your service to humanity and Mother Gaia, dear dragon partners. And thank you, Archangel Michael, for surrounding our circle with protection. And so it is.
Thank you. Okay, so here we go. The first name. And I pull Beverly Danielle.
Good evening.
Hello.
So for those who don't know me, I'm Beverly. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm an aspiring life coach. I currently work in corrections, and I do tarot readings, and I have an interest in astrology. And I'm a single mom of a little boy, and also a pug mom. And are we going to go right into just talking, or is that just the intro?
Sure. Yeah. If you could just go ahead and share what you'd like to share, that would be great.
Sure. I guess for me, picturing like the new earth, like I'd be interested in, I guess protection for the children, because most of there's a lot going on between child trafficking, women trafficking, and then, pressure for, various inoculations, things like that. So for me, it's like, I'd want to picture like just safety for like children.
I think that's a really great point. And is there anything else that you'd like to share, or is there any way that you can see us doing that better?
I guess sort of like raising awareness on the topics, because a lot of people don't know just how bad it really is.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I'm curious, are there any is there any direction you could give people to do research or anything like that to raise awareness?
One of my favorite people that does a lot of work in this like arena, her name is Courtney Hunt, and she's a doctor in Arizona. And she like raises a lot of money for a nonprofit called Children of the Night. You basically work towards, you know, helping women and children getting out of these situations, because, you know, when you're coming out of it, it's sometimes like if you're born into it, it's almost like you don't know any better. So this nonprofit, you know, sets up for like educating them, working with them, helping them like get out of the cycle of violence, essentially.
All right, good to know. Thank you, Beverly.
You're welcome.
Is that all for you?
Yeah.
All right. Next is Stevie Calista.
Hi, everybody. My name is Stevie. I live in Western North Carolina. I'm a silversmith and astrologer. I am very passionate about the earth now. And so I guess my view on the new earth is very romanticized. So not surprising. I really believe like the new earth is the age of Aquarius, where we step into this whole new age of time. And we're kind of ending the Pisces age right now. That's why there's so much like delusion, and we're really like peeling back the layers of what's actually happening. I see the new earth as like we have deep connection with her. There's like new colors even that we've never seen before. We all appreciate her. We have deep gratitude for her and what she provides for us, and we're like very in tune with her cycles. And I also believe that in the new earth, or I want to believe that there's a lot of ritual and ceremony, like we get back into that. I feel like as humans, we're becoming lighter now anyway, with all the light coming in, and that's only going to continue. So I feel like we'll need less sleep, we'll need less food, we'll be much healthier creatures, there'll be so much more healing, less toxins in the world. We won't have to deal with any of that stuff. With healthier bodies, I feel like healing is going to become really at the forefront, like how we heal on a spiritual level, and how we use the vessel of our bodies in a much different way. I also just see like, whenever I picture it, I just picture like rainbows and harmony and like this deep, we're just so in tune with the harmony of each other. And instead of having it be a patriarchal system where there's someone in charge, we're all in charge. Like we all take care of each other. And there isn't money, like there isn't the systems and structures anymore. And those are crumbling now, so that we can realize that if we just used our resources, there would be this like equality together, and we would take care of each other in community. I also see like, and I don't know if this is just over romanticized, but I see that we live near our loved ones. Like community is different, and we get to see and be with the people that we love all the time. Like I see that we live in community with our friends, and we get to share meals and ritual together. I also feel like we're going to remember all of our lifetimes and have the knowing of like what our soul's been through, so that we understand our trauma, and understand our wounds, and we've healed those because we just remember again, like our consciousness knows. I also feel like we can travel to different places. So maybe we get to travel to different planets. We can travel back in time, that we can understand different timelines, and we like understand ourselves in the galactic, as a galactic being versus just a human being. Yeah, I just see it very beautiful, very harmonious, a lot of like community centered, and Aquarius really is like at its highest vibration. It takes care of the collective, it takes care of the whole, and it knows its place individually, but it looks at it from a whole holistic point of view. So I'm looking at my notes. yeah, that's what I see. I see that we like heal ourselves and we heal the earth. And in doing so, she just comes out of her shadow and is just like so bright. And as are we. So yeah.
That's beautiful, Stevie. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Next we have Olivia Grundy. Olivia.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm here. Okay, great. Hi, so happy to be here with you all. I think it was quite a beautiful synchronicity that I'm going after Stevie, because a lot of the stuff that she was saying really resonated with me. And I feel like I can kind of, some of the ideas about community and living in harmony and things like this, this is exactly my own vision, and I'm trying to make it a reality. So what I'd like to share is some of the ways that I'm, some of the personal steps that I'm taking, what I'm seeing like on the 3D level, you know, in the physical world. So just a quick introduction. I'm from the UK, but I currently live in Madrid. And I'm currently in this process of transitioning from the city to the countryside. So me and my partner, we really want to move to the countryside to create some kind of project. We don't have the form or shape just yet, but this is what we're both called to do. So what I wanted to share was some of the kind of hallmarks of the ways that I'm navigating this transition, because I have no idea how this is going to happen, basically. You know, we don't have loads of money in the bank to buy land or things like this. So what I can see, and part of my vision for how this is going to work, is the first one is, you know, going with the organic flow of synchronicity and not trying to force it through or try and control the outcome. So that's like a really big part of it, the organicness, you know, of just things just falling into place. And what it just happened today. I am an English teacher, and I was having class with a woman, and we were talking, and I thought, I can see where this is going. I can see how this is going to turn into some kind of collaboration, you know, without trying to force it through. I was just there doing my job. So the other thing is, I see it as being a newer space, and especially because I'm in the city, so it's going to be a very creative space in comparison to like the consumerism that we're so used to. It's like the opposite. It's going to be so creative, full of people making things, you know, whether that's music or art or food. I think food is going to be a really integral part of this process, because food is like at the heart of all human life. It's at the heart of community. So the more we can connect with our food production and take control more of our food production and be more empowered, be more self-sufficient, I think, you know, food is what unites everybody, regardless of whether you're on the left or the right or whatever. You know, it goes beyond all barriers, kind of thing. So I think any kind of work around food is going to be really important. The other thing I think, and this ties in with the community aspect, is the collaboration. So for me, I can see me fulfilling my dream through collaborating with people. You know, it's not just like me, I want to do this alone. It's like, no, how can I do this with people? I don't know who these people are yet, but I'm sure that people are going to come into my life. And the other thing that I thought would be interesting to share with you is, because I am in the city and it's, you know, that there's full of interesting people doing interesting things. I think the kind of new earth energy, going back to what I was saying about creativity, is going to be found in places that maybe there's like an experimental space that's opened up to experiment with different types of relationships or social structures, like self-government, assembly, things like this, you know. And I think a part of this is more like this. I'm not really an expert in this, but my partner is more of an expert in this, is art. How do we regenerate a culture? How do we bring it down, you know, from the kind of the the vision into kind of the 3D world. And I think art could be really at the forefront of this, in some way, shape or form. I'm not quite sure how, but okay. So the other thing that I am very excited about for my own journey is permaculture. Maybe some of you already know about permaculture or practice permaculture. For me, this is like a breath of fresh air, because where I'm from in the UK is very industrial. You know, nobody particularly grows their own food or things like this. And also there was such a skepticism about anything spiritual or relation with the land or anything, you know, especially Great Britain, you know, the great colonizers. So the fact that for me, permaculture is like, it helps me remember those indigenous seeds, you know, the indigenous knowledge that we're all indigenous to this earth, and having that deeper relationship with the earth, a little bit like as Stevie was saying. And what I love about permaculture is that it's a tangible way of bringing this down into a culture, in a, you know, in talking about systems, talking about design. How do we design systems that reflect these values? And the amazing thing about permaculture is that it you know, there's a series of ethics and principles, and it's like a ready-made system that we could step into and embody and use to design other systems. I know that really to understand what I'm talking about, you probably have to know more about permaculture, but I think otherwise, I won't say more than that, otherwise I'll probably be taking too much space. What else did I, yeah, the last thing about permaculture is that for me, it's a language that could reach across not just spiritual communities, but across mainstream communities as well, because it's not a language that's kind of hyper spiritualized or anything like this. You know, like the three ethics is earth care, people care, and fair shares. So it's so profound when you kind of start exploring these, but it's not, they're also very simple. It's not going to put people off, like the word go, you know, like, oh, that's too woo-woo for me, or something like that. And I think that's pretty much it, really. And the final thing that I wrote down was, which is kind of separate to everything else, which is, again, more of a personal thing, is what does it mean to be a woman? Because this is something that I've been doing a lot of work on. I need to do a lot more work on as well, inhabiting this female body in a different way and becoming like a new kind of woman, if that makes sense. And I don't know really, I'm in this process, but I just know that that's important, you know, and I don't think it's a coincidence that we're all here women, you know. So I think that's pretty much it. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Olivia. And I tried to get some men to join us, but it did turn out to be all women. So I love what you said there, and it's interesting that you pointed that out. All right, so next we have Sarah Leverett.
Hey, everybody. Olivia's last point transitions really well into what I'm all about, which is intuition. I have a small business called Intuitive Empowerment, where I work as a hypnotherapist, an oracle reader, and an intuition mentor. And so as I was thinking about the new earth and what I hope for it to be, intuition is absolutely at the forefront of my list. Just everyone feeling safe to listen to their body, trusting that inner voice, that inner guidance. I like to think of it as like our connection to our ancestors. For me, that's, you know, feeling safe to explore joy and explore what I'm innately curious about. And also, I think another word that stuck out to me was that idea of moving fluidly, or like a more fluid environment, and just feeling less resistance to the present moment, and really just allowing ourselves to let go of the past and drop worry of the future and just really root down here and now. And I honestly think that's how we get to the new earth, right? It's really lovely to, visualize it and create a vision. But at the end of the day, I think the way we get there is being present, like really being right here as often as we can be. Another thing that I really hope for in the new earth is lots of rest, like a lot of rest. I'm really learning this lesson, just really allowing myself to rest. And not because I feel like I've earned it, because I feel like I deserve it. There's a difference of feeling like I've checked all these things off my list, so now I earn time to just not do anything, versus waking up feeling like it's innately my right to rest, and I really want to feel that in the new earth. And yeah, just freedom for everyone to dive into self-study, the importance of really going within, because I think that's how we get to a world of belonging. I think if we feel like we belong in our own body, in our own space, that we then expand that out to the people that we touch and the people that we meet. And over time, people feel more safe and grace to just be, and really just embody who they are in their own truth. And I think if we were to move more towards that, then a lot of shame, a lot of judgment, a lot of guilt would start to dissipate. So yeah, I think, the new earth for me is just really about community, but community in also being authentically yourself. And just everybody having that space, well-rested, spacious, intuitive place.
I love it. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Sarah. Next we have Andrea.
Hey everybody, I'm Andrea, and just like Stevie, hi Stevie, I live in Western North Carolina. So yeah, I really wasn't sure what to bring tonight because I'm struggling with some existential issues these days. And I keep coming back to, so my training, I've done a lot in my 45-ish years on this planet, but most recently, I work with people. I do physical therapy, and I'm also an acupuncture student. So what I keep coming back to is that the people are different, but we're all the same. And the most important thing to me that I hope to see in the future, that I think will pervade, is our ability to be curious and benevolent at the same time. Like, you can disagree with anyone and everyone, but below any kind of disharmony or disagreement, we can all be curious and kind and try to see the other point of view of people we're in relation with. And so I've been, I just keep coming back to these words, benevolent curiosity, because I work with people, they come on my table and, they could be like, one of the more extreme cases is a man who I know was very abusive to his daughter, but he was my patient. So I can't just, start berating this man about, how he treats his daughter and his family in my clinic, but I can still treat him with a benevolence and a kindness that maybe will ripple out into the world. So, I just hope that something like that will continue and carry on, because not we're all humans, we're all the same, but we're all different, and we're not going to agree with everybody. And we can have these idyllic, hopeful romantic, I like that word, the romantic idea of what we want the world and the earth to be like, but it may not always be that way. And if we can just keep coming back to being kind and open and willing to be vulnerable and be, I guess the word is, authentically open and like, yeah, I just keep coming back to that kind of idea. So, and also studying a lot of Taoist philosophy, there's yin and yang. You can't have one without the other because they're always changing into each other. They're always transforming and they're always supporting each other. So there's darkness, there's light. You can't have one without the other. And so it's kind of an enigma. It's also a brain fuck, but like it's true, like the winter ends up becoming spring, ends up becoming summer, ends up becoming fall, ends up becoming hopefully a restful winter again. And there's also going back to Sarah's point about being well rested, in Taoist philosophy, we work with the seasons, we are in harmony with the seasons. And in winter, you do rest. You don't eat as much. You take care of your internal, your yin, your cool, your dark. You really calm yourself. And then when the spring happens, you have more energy to expend, to be in tune with growing and growth and transformation and, what leads to summer. So I don't know. I just, like I said, I wasn't really very well prepared, but it's just everything that I've been learning and practicing lately is kind of what I want to, what I would like to not be lost in the future, because everything does come back around. So, and like Taoism is so old and it's so mind-blowingly simple. Sometimes we forget that things can be really simple. I know I do. So yeah, just simplicity, benevolence, curiosity, yin and yang, dark and light. It's funny because there's like light and dark. I was looking at that going, that's kind of interesting, the way that worked out. Anyways, thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrea. That was beautiful. I'm gonna say that like after every person, I feel like, but, just loving it, loving all these perspectives. So next we have Kris Robinson.
Hi. So I work with the elementals, dragons and unicorns, and I'm an ambassador. So can you hear me okay? Okay. I wrote down what I wanted to share. So I envision a new earth where dragons, unicorns, mermaids, and all the elementals are collaborating with us to bring forth peace, love, compassion, positivity, and a modern day golden age for all living things on the planet. When we flow with the universe by working with our guides, we are connected to Source in its highest form and frequency. I encourage you to connect to your guides, be it your dragon, unicorn, primary spirit guide, angels, and ancestors. You will see that they're there with you and they're even ready to be of service to you on your mission. We all have soul missions with our guides, so checking in with them can connect you to this part of your life plan. When you connect with Source and your guides, you manifest rapidly and your soul's mission will begin to unfold. I find that by sitting with my guides in meditation that I can tune into their messages for me. This is how I met my unicorn and dragon guide. I found out that I have a soul contract with them to be an ambassador for the elementals, to help them connect with their human soul partners. So I encourage everyone to build your version of the new earth through connecting with spirit. They're ready to help you co-create and manifest what you planned before you incarnated. If you're already working with your guides, you're creating the new earth. New earth is a frequency. When you raise the frequency of your field, you're allowing for the higher vibrations to flow within you, which helps raise the frequency of the planet and the collective. It's all related, so your light is very important. And I wanted to tell Wendy, thank you for hosting this. So that's really what I envision the new earth as being, just collaboration to manifest with spirit and to raise the frequency to bring forth the new golden age. And I wanted to share, Wendy and I had talked about this So yesterday in my meditation, I'm actually working on a dragon guide reading for Wendy this week, which was kind of interesting, the timing, because we had scheduled that quite a while ago. So yesterday in meditation, I always call in my guides first before I call in the guide that I'm working with. So I told Wendy that my primary guide is a Lakota Native American, and his name's Whitefeather. And he popped in yesterday with his dragon guide, which was amazing because it was kind of a combination of an eagle and a dragon, which I've never seen before. So of course I was just like, whoa. And he told me to pull the eagle card, which Wendy asked me to bring that. And my spirit guide usually has me pull cards just because it's an easy way to give messages to me. So I thought it was really interesting because the guidance of the card, it's seize opportunities courageously. So it says this card is a visionary who focuses with clarity and awareness on the objective. You are advised to be very clear about what you want to achieve or manifest. View it from the most enlightened perspective so that your intention is for supreme good. Be watchful and aware of everything that is happening. Remain motivated so that when you are ready for action, you will move fearlessly and tenaciously. Treat challenges and seeming setbacks as opportunities to raise your game. So on that note, I want to thank all the guides for collaborating with all of us, because I feel like without them, we wouldn't be able to create the new earth. And they're just really thankful that we're all remembering them.
Thank you so much, Kris. All right, so next we have, me. All right. Are you muted, Kris? Yeah, you are. Can you guys see me okay. Not seeing myself here, so I'm gonna change the view. Okay. So I also wrote down what I have here. All right, so, and let me introduce myself. I'm Wendy Wright, the host of the Light Always Wins podcast, which is how I met a lot of you, pretty much most of you. And I decided to host this New Earth Roundtable. So I'm also a farmer. That's an important point as well. That's my day job, vegetable farming. So I see an environment that encourages people to follow their passions so they can shine their light in the brightest way and feel fulfilled. So there's resource to be of service to others. A lot of what I see starts with how our children are raised, since they will be building the future. What if education was more personalized rather than standardized? I feel this would require the involvement of the parents to help facilitate what makes their child light up and how to let them follow that inspiration. I feel that inspiration and creativity are divinely guided and comes through to help us on our own journeys and to also help humanity. To have supportive parents, we need supportive spaces and community for people to heal. Hurt people, and healing people heal people. I believe this is happening as we speak. I hope that sharing my story and other people's stories will help people relate and not feel alone in their experiences. Let's not be ashamed of the challenges we've faced and create safe spaces for people to confront their shadows. From this more healed place, we can teach our children that it's okay to feel everything and to express their feelings in a way that does not harm others. To own what we feel, not to blame what we feel on something outside of ourselves. Mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being will be prioritized as a basic need. I see us getting to the root of people's health issues rather than treating them as a purely physical being, including mind, body, and spirit. However that person feels spirit, not forcing anyone to make a spiritual connection, but allowing people to believe in the unseen, not judging each other's beliefs. I see the people falling back into natural order and natural law. We inherently know that we shall treat others as we would want to be treated. This requires compassion for yourself so that you may have compassion for others. The food system may be the biggest overhaul in the material realm. No more harmful chemicals will be used that poison our bodies, the land, and the water. This alone would solve so many of our physical and mental ailments. The need for conventional medicine would shrink considerably. We will see that we are a part of nature. We will respect ourselves and our bodies, so we will respect Mother Earth. Why would you poison your earth and yourself and continue to treat that poisoning with more poison? We shall look to nature for inspiration of how to farm sustainably. And this is like the permaculture that Olivia was talking about. This may require a change in diet, eating more seasonally, and supporting people who farm near you. Perhaps people will take interest in learning where their food comes from and help the farmers. I see a huge potential for stronger communities around food because that's one thing we all need. Our children will grow up in this environment having a connection to nature and a connection to where food comes from, the work it takes to grow, and the abundance that is possible when we work with nature. The understanding of the cycles of life and death, so they do not need to fear death, so they can truly live a happy, healthy life. And collective efforts shall be voluntary. No individual shall be forced to do something that does not resonate with them. So all of that being said, take what resonates and leave the rest. So thank you guys. Next we have Sarah 7. Is she here? Don't think she's here. Carrie Socia.
I unmuted. Is that what I should do? Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. Hi everyone. You guys, I'm in, Wendy wouldn't be surprised, but I'm like in tears over here. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to talk. I'm just super impressed and feel so much love right now, which doesn't surprise me what I'm going to be talking about or what came through for me to talk about. But I wanted to say thank you to Wendy. Yeah, my heart's beating really, really fast. So I wrote down words first that came through. First word was heart medicine. I feel, so I guess I'll take a step back for a second. I didn't even introduce myself. I'm Carrie Socia. I'm in Denver, Colorado, just coming into my body here. And I'm really grateful to be here. And I am a energy healer or Reiki practitioner. I have 2 kiddos, a husband, a dog. And I'm just really excited and happy for what's happening. The fact, I'm listening to all of you and I'm just wow, this is happening. We're all together. The thing that I saw was a web of souls. And I see us holding hands in this circle of light. And then the thing that just kept, I wrote pages and pages and pages of information today, but heart medicine, it just kept coming back to our hearts. And so I wrote heart, the words I wrote were heart medicine, and then intention, activation of power. So heart centeredness, heart healing, heart activation, alignment, purpose, committed, devoted, focused, present, grounded, prosperity. It's one of my favorite words right now, reciprocity. And then compassion and embodied. And then after that, I wrote balancing the feminine and the masculine. That has been a very, I've decided for me, in order for me to fully come into my light, into my purpose, is presence is a really needed thing. So I've kind of taken a step back in the last couple of weeks and just was where do I want to be? My energy, my time, my focus, and how can I best serve? And so the word presence just kept coming back. And when I'm present with myself, I heal, right? So I come back to that heart space, but balancing that masculine and feminine. And also I focus so much on the feminine. So like this year, 2021 has been like very much a year of embodiment for me, like coming back into my body, feeling safe in my body, just feeling everything that's coming in through my body, and just becoming the alchemist of my body, and like transmuting all the things that want to be the trauma, the seeing, the feeling, expressing, transmuting, and alchemizing, right? So I think I come back to that divine masculine too, because I realized a lot of my shadows, or a lot of the things that I didn't want to look at, happened to be my wounded masculine. And so I wrote all those words, and I think they're very much, like, if I look at them, very much a balance of those feminine and those masculine energies. So it comes back again to that heart medicine. So I wrote, this is a time of heart healing, listening to our hearts, tuning into our hearts, healing our hearts. I wrote reciprocity again, because I see as like giving coming out the front of our hearts, and receiving coming in from the back of our hearts, whether that's, you know, how you resonate or not. I've just been feeling a lot of activation in the back of my heart, which is new. And so that balance of that giving and receiving. And then I also today saw everything comes from the heart. So when we connect with our hearts and heal our hearts, and we then can speak from our hearts, we can also our power comes from our hearts. So like, I just see the heart as this centerpiece, and the rest, you know, I'm looking at, you know, chakras, if you will, but the rest just is so aligned with the heart. So everything will then be connected to the heart. So just some questions that I wrote were like, what needs to be healed? Where are we shutting down our hearts? Where are we putting up our guards? Like maybe where can we take the armor off? What are we avoiding? Where are our hearts bruised? What wants to be seen, felt, expressed, healed, and alchemized? Who is a mirror for us? I think right now, I want to say Andrea spoke on this, but really seeing each other as mirrors. And like, when we do get triggered, or things come up and we're like, whoa, didn't know that was there, when that darkness is wanting to be looked at and come up, how can we really be with each other as mirrors and just love each other for that, right? Like it all comes down to that love. And then what are they mirroring for us? So I see that mirror a lot. And then I just wrote, once we tend to our hearts, we can then come into our power, speak freely, speak our truth freely. And we no longer need to be victims or martyrs when we tend to our hearts. We can come from a healed space, an empowered space. We live in our gifts. We're the alchemists of our lives. We're the masters of our own healing. We are the masters of our hearts. We are our own medicine, and then we are the medicine that we need. So again, that web of souls where we're all lit up in our gifts, in our purpose, becoming the masters of our hearts and healing, being a mirror and a light for others to activate that same light in them. That's like what I wrote down. And then I don't know if I have time, Wendy, to read a card. Is that, I have time? Okay.
Go for it.
I pulled all kinds of cards today, and they all landed, I feel like, with so many of what you guys were talking about. Like Council of Light was one. I think it was, it's not Kim, Kris, was it Kris that spoke to, you know, really tuning into our guides and knowing that we can ask for support. I think that's like so important, knowing that we have the support of our ancestors, of our guides, you know, whomever it is that we connect with on a higher level. But the card that I pulled that I really wanted to read was called, oh no, it's kind of, you can't see it, can you? Can you see that? Okay, so it has this like very cool owl, and then there's a woman underneath, and it says, defend to the end, the worthwhile. This might be too long, just cut me off if it is. But it says, beneath the illusions, pretty as they may seem, you know what is real. Beneath the lies, sweet though they may sound, you know what is worthwhile. All that is genuinely and truly essential for the heart to throb with life is worthwhile. Anything that dulls it or suffocates it, its vibrant aliveness must be questioned, challenged, and more than likely cast aside, for the heart is our key to living an authentic life. What is there once that is compromised? Without its foundation of truth, we are forever lost in confusion, doubt, and despair. You are a sacred warrior, a defender of the heart. You have cried genuine tears of your own grief, and also the grief of the world. You have raged at injustice and oppression in your own life and in the world. You have felt the need to protect the presence of love, for whilst it is exceptionally powerful, it can too easily be smothered under lies and fear. The sacred warrior must not heed the dangerous voices that say, oh, stop being so sensitive. Stop making such a big deal out of things. Love is the biggest deal there is. What else is worth being so sensitive about? The sacred warrior is vigilant that the presence of love is not chipped away by fear, criticism, doubt, or untruths. Even if others find the unflinching honesty of your feelings difficult to handle, even if those feelings are expressed with gentleness and compassion, the sacred warrior honors the task of being more faithful to love than anything else. This includes the fear of loss. Actually, it includes the fear of anything at all. This oracle brings guidance to honor even the smallest steps in your path of the sacred warrior. They are no less important than the most noticeable or dramatic actions on the path. One single misstep can begin a landslide of great devastation. Being vigilant with what is meaningful and what is truthful, even in the smallest and seemingly most insignificant ways, strengthens the sacred warrior and prevents darkness from gaining a stronghold from the inside. That darkness will be intelligent and sneaky. It will tell you that it doesn't matter, that this one time you can forget what you promised, that you are just one person, and that you can't make a difference in any way. That darkness will lure you into a sleepy ambivalence and dull your light if you allow it. The sacred warrior within will fight with love and honor to be true to what has meaning and never allow it to be cast aside, even if it seems easier in the moment. The sacred warrior finds joy and humor in life. To prevent the seriousness of the task from stifling the heart that just wants to live and be free. That joy brings strength to the warrior and an expanded, relaxed awareness that can sense the presence of fear and immediately respond to it with fierce compassion. The sacred warrior will not allow fear to gain a stronghold within the heart. You are being asked to stay strong and stand your ground. This might be in a big emotional journey that feels like the fight of your life. It may be in the matter that does not seem to hold much importance. I'll get to the end here. Just says, ask for help through the healing process. Stay true to the sacred warrior of love that you are to defend to the end of all that is worthwhile. So it just comes back to that heart message. Just says, I call upon the sacred warriors of unconditional love. So mine just comes back to heart medicine and just getting really in touch with our hearts and just asking what wants to be healed. So that's it.
Thank you so much, Carrie. That was beautiful. All right, next we have Christine McKim.
Hi, guys. I'm Christine, and I am a mother of 3 boys. And I live in Franconia, New Hampshire. I'm an herbalist. I also read tarot, as many of you do. And I have been recently really upping sessions with people. So doing more of like a spiritual life coaching capacity. And besides that, I walk in the woods a lot. So I spend a lot of time with nature, and I connect with the earth and everything that's out there. So I can really relate with the elemental kingdom, and also all kinds of little spirits that like to hang out with you. But so I've been thinking about this new earth for quite some time now, and it's been on my mind, I think, since I was quite young, but I didn't really understand it. I spent most of my time in the woods, playing with fairies, and I have a pet unicorn. I swear to God, I'm, I'll have to talk to you about that later, Kris. But I, as an adult, have, kind of gone through a lot of taking off all these heavy blankets of conditioning and trying to move through a lot of shadow work. And in doing that, what I have found in terms of using my heart as my guidance system is seeing that the alignment of our chakras and the energy piece of healing has really profoundly opened my mind to what our next steps are probably going to be. So what I'm seeing for the new earth is a lot of energy work. A lot of transmuting of energy. By the way, I'm a Reiki master, so that kind of came along with my journey up to this point. And seeing how the Earth's energy is a different frequency than, say, the dog that, is sitting next to me, or the cat, or my friend, or whatever's going on. And so understanding your own frequency and your own energy in terms of the healing piece of it, whether that's trying to remove old stuck energy, which could be, anger, it could be fear, it could also be past life problems that you brought with your karmic debt into this life. But yeah, I'm really seeing that we're going to be working on a very different frequency. And I also see that a lot of us here tonight, and many across the world, that are waking up to their healing abilities and energy being, a really important thing to be understanding in terms of healing, that we're going to be the ones that are going to be helping folks that are going to be bridging into this new world. I think we've got a little bit of a bumpy ride. I don't know, it's going to be all kinds of levels depending on where you're at energetically. And we're just going to have to stand our ground, hold our light, use our heart center, and shine as bright as we can. And in the meantime, teaching people how to get out of being a victim, teaching folks how to stand their ground, also teaching folks that we need to all take responsibility for what's happened in this world, everything. And as soon as we can start taking responsibility, we stop looking out for everyone else to do for us. So we kind of cut out the expectations and we start looking within. So I'm seeing that we're going to be awesome support systems for folks that need to take that next step. But in the meantime, as we're doing our inner work and aligning our chakras and manifesting greatness, we just have to keep ourselves in that all the time. And I think as healers, as energy workers, and also looking out into this galactic world, there's a lot out there that is waiting, supporting us, healing us. I mean, the energy is coming in. I mean, there's just so much going on, and you can just kind of go crazy thinking about it. But staying stable, because I truly believe that we've come here to hold our light and to hold ground. And as we're doing that, we connect we find each other. We've all found each other. I'm excited to see who my new friends are going to be next. And in this, wonderful experience that we're all having right now. In the meantime, I don't want to also, I want to say that I'm in a resting point. So I understand like it's time to rest for me. I get that a lot. And we do need to see that because our conditioning has been, don't rest, don't take the time. You're constantly go, go, go. As a mother of 3 boys, I mean, it's easy to be distracted. And taking that time for yourself is going to be really important too. So I feel like I support every single bit of what everyone has said. And I hope that I've added something in there too that can just make this an even more expansive session for everybody. But that's kind of where I've been at and what I feel. I put my hand out. I'll take you with me. Let's co-create.
Love it. Thank you, Christine. All right, next we have Allison Atlantis.
Oh, all right. I just have been taking notes as we've been talking. So I'm from Moldova, but I've kind of been like a nomad up in all over the place. I've been in so many different states, but I'm currently in Las Vegas. And I'm a hypnotherapist. I was a massage therapist at some point, but for hypnotherapy, I mostly like to do past life regression because that's kind of like what got me into it. And my huge healing journey began when I got one of my first past life regressions. So it was like the gateway for me. But what I see for New Earth and what I've seen for a long time is energy and frequency and healing that way. So instead of like hospitals, it's centers, healing centers where you go in and you're able to tune yourself. And I think these are my gifts from like Atlantis, and I need to actualize them and figure out how to make it happen. But what I see is people coming in to be tuned. Because if you're out of alignment or if you're sick with something, you can tune the frequency, you can tune your cells, you can tune your body. And that's what I see for the future for sure. For like healing, tuning ourselves, sounds, frequencies, vibrations. And I see us like connecting with animals and being able to communicate with them. Because even I've always been a huge animal lover, but even my whole life up until like the last year, I wasn't really able to communicate with them. And now this one cat I have, we communicate like this. And I see that that's like the way of the future. And like on TikTok, I go on there and the people have these little buttons and their animals communicate through these buttons and they press on it. And like the dog can communicate, I want to go outside, I want a snack. And the humans are interacting with these animals. This was not a thing before. And it's like, it's on a big scale. So I already feel like we're already like on our way there. People are already communicating with their animals, have this like beautiful relationship with them. And I see that in the future, we're all going to have like clean food, water, air, shelter, safety, and probably are not going to be eating any animals because we're going to be able to communicate with them. And you wouldn't do that at that point. No judgment. I mean, I eat meat right now, but I'm saying once we're there, I think it would look a little different. And the other thing I wrote down is like what Wendy was saying is about children. That's one of my other missions. Like one of my missions in this earth is to teach children about frequencies, energy, vibration, and their emotions. Can you imagine like a whole generation of children, they're in tune with their emotions at a young age? You wouldn't have to like do all this working on yourself as you're growing up. You just have to handle things as they come up. You wouldn't have to do all this deep work and heal all this inner trauma because you would just deal with it as it comes up. And I see that as the future for sure. That and like the type of schools would be different. Like even how schools were not that long ago, like even 200 years ago, you would go and you do your trade. Like if you were really good at doing like pottery, you would learn that at a young age and you just perfect it and just get better and better and become a master. And I see that for the future too, that children are going to, whatever their natural talents are, they're exhibiting, they're going to be able to grow upon that and to expand and expand, expand on it, to be, like really own in on it by the time they're older. I also see soul recognition, people being able to see each other's souls and auras when they're looking at each other when we're talking. And you can see the energy. I can see that now, but if everyone could at some point, the whole, like everything would be different. And like on a side note, like in Atlantis, I was there during the fall and I contributed to it. And so I know that one of my lessons here is to bring that knowledge back and use it for good this time. So I know my soul came here for that. We're here to bring like ancient technology, ancient ways back, but to use it for good this time. And let's see what else. Also, like just connecting with our ancestors, animals, and nature. Just like everyone's brought up a little point about that, of like the rituals and being able to just connect on like such a deeper level, like how we all are right now worldwide, all the people on earth and all the animals, being able to look at grass and see its essence and to really appreciate it and have like reverence and respect and love for it. I see that for sure. And people being guided by their intuition, honoring intuition, being guided by it and trusting it and just going with it. And I think that's most of it. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Allison.
Thank you.
All right. Last but not least, we have Sarah Bush. Thanks for your patience.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I am brand new to all of you. I came to this circle kind of, a friend of mine sent the information to me and just kind of feeling like I would probably connect. And I think the primary reason why I was excited about it was for the sake of community, which many of you have touched on here. I think that, and that, brings us into like, in the future, I think there being a lot more community of like intentional community and working together to envision the long term and working together to create more together, and not just in the sense of like your coworkers, in whatever capacity, this more current capacity, which has value sometimes, but is maybe there could be energy better spent other times. But anyway, I identify, I've been fascinated by everybody's perspectives, and it's just so evident how different people are. And I think that I identify as like a creator and a teacher. And I went to school to be an art teacher and make my living currently as a jewelry maker. Recently, in the last maybe 4 months, I've become very obsessed with food preservation and learning about that. And I love cooking. And I worked on a farm when I was in college, and I've had a garden for a long time. I have a really strong connection with food. And so, yeah, there's so many things that when everyone was talking that I was resonating with, and I'm kind of grateful to go last, but also I feel like a lot has been said. But there are two things that keep coming up for me personally, especially in the last couple of years, that like I would like to bring forward. One of them, in the future, I want there to be just this kind of complete and utter rejection of the concept that anything is binary, like anything in the world, like that there is like Republican and Democrat in our country, or whatever, like organic and conventional, or whatever. It just like these perceptions of anything being as simple as black and white, and how vastly complex and incredible the world that we live in is, and way beyond our perception. That's another thing that I just think we have such a limited, with our 5 senses, such a limited view of what's actually going on. And I think, so that's one thing, just moving totally out of this concept of binary. And the other thing is moving out of the concept of scarcity, because I think there is so much abundance on the earth. And I think that scarcity is put in place by certain powers, and it's just not, it's not true. And it's causing a lot of suffering. And so, yeah, moving into dynamic and abundant future is kind of like at a core. I absolutely resonate with the concept of education being a really important area where change needs to happen. And I think that like what everybody had been saying about it being moving into a much more dynamic, much more intuitive, another thing that has come up a lot, thing in the future. And just like getting, just everything becoming more intuitive like that too. Like even if there's a period of time where a child is like having a rough time internally, like, and they need to not be in school for however long to like explore their personal growth and just to approach the world in a more like natural and organic, as Olivia was saying too at the beginning, approaching the world that way, I think has a lot of help. It will help a lot in the future. And focusing on flow as an objective rather than like, for example, productivity or efficiency, like we're just our objective being to get into a flow state, like whatever, and that being the driving kind of like objective rather than how can we move fast. And like I do occasionally fairly large scale jewelry manufacturing with my business, and so it's an interesting thing to be conscious of both. Like in the world that we live in right now, there's going to be a bridge for us to cross between now and then. And yeah, with parenting and like that kind of nests in with education as well. Like there just needs to be, I think, so much more reverence for the space of parenting. I think that it's a huge thing. Like I don't have children, but like it's unbelievable, like how much parents do and how much. And I think some of them too, like are in unbelievable pain because they want to do so much more and like they have to work or they have to be, you know, like all of this stuff. And I think there needs to be a lot more honoring of like how sacred that role is. I guess finally, there's a lot, but finally, I loved what Christine was saying about responsibility too. I think that like there being an empowerment of taking responsibility, and like something that I think about a lot in the way that I practice my personal work is like humility, and like there being this like quiet space for doing the work well for the sake of doing the work well. I think that in the future, like there shouldn't be quite so much of a hurry. And because, I mean, that cascades into other problems ultimately, but humble, responsible, and those words come to mind. But anyway, that's kind of a brain dump of thoughts.
I love it. Thank you so much. And I think we got everybody. That was incredible. Thank you guys so much. And I have to say, what I find so refreshing is that there seems to be this commonality of feeling a sense of responsibility. And you know, I had that on my mind while I was writing, and I'm like, I wonder how people feel about this, you know? But it seems like a lot of us are on the same page about that, and as well as how important individuality is for the collective. You know, it is the yin and the yang. It's all of it. It's integrating all of it, not overlooking one for the other, you know? So I really appreciate you guys. And Sarah is going to guide a meditation for us now.
Yeah, thank you so much, Wendy. All right, in the spirit of Carrie's heart medicine, I would like for us all to just start by dropping into our heart space. So if it feels good to place your hand over your heart here at the beginning and just allowing all of that beautiful creativity, all of those dreams and visions, just start to allow those to move down into the heart space. And just by dropping down into this space, noticing how connected you feel with your light. It may start as just a spark, the center of your heart space, or you may already feel as if your light is overflowing. But just taking a moment to tap into this space. Allowing your light to begin to grow and expand with each breath. On each inhale, starting to breathe in all of that beautiful light. And then on each exhale, letting go of anything not serving you in the present moment. And just taking a couple more deep breaths. And then allowing your breathing to settle in to a natural rhythm. And I'd like to start this journey by really feeling how deeply rooted and connected we are to the present moment and to our Mother Earth. If it feels good to leave your hand on your heart, you can continue to do that. If it feels better to allow it to rest, do that as well. Just beginning to notice the roots that you have expanding from the base of the spine or the bottom of your feet. Allowing those roots to go down deep into Mother Earth, where she can hold you safely and securely in the present moment. Pausing for a moment of gratitude for the here and now. As we manifest this new earth, also remembering how whole we are now. How whole our Mother Earth is now. And from this place of deep connection and gratitude, I'd like for you to begin to imagine two worlds. The Mother Earth that we inhabit right now, and one that represents the new earth. Allow your mind to become lighter so that it begins to rise above your body now. Noticing that your mind can float above the room, the building that you're in. Imagining that everything down below can be viewed from your mind's eye, allowing your awareness to become lighter, looking down on our beautiful Mother Earth below. Continue to float higher into the clouds, the night sky, feeling lighter. And as you float above the earth, you're going to notice in the distance another planet next to this one. In that world, everything is healed, and you are healed. I'd like for you to imagine now that there's a bridge that connects the two worlds that you see. You'll notice that you can easily and effortlessly float over to that bridge now. Beginning on the side of the bridge connected to our present Earth. Begin to take a step across the bridge, noticing how it feels to transition. You may begin to notice as you move closer to our new healed Earth that you begin to see colors you've never seen before. As you take even more steps across this bridge, you'll begin to notice how clean the air is as you breathe it in. You may begin to hear the voices of your ancestors welcoming you home. You know that you are moving towards a more simple Earth, a more passionate Earth, a more harmonious Earth. And as you move towards this new Earth, you'll begin to notice a light beam at the very end of the bridge. Go ahead and walk through that beam of light now. As soon as you move and emerge through the other side of this light beam, you will notice a deep connection to your body. You'll immediately feel lighter, more healthy. Some things on the planet are very similar, but many things have changed here. There's a deep sacredness to this new Earth. I'm going to be silent for just a moment and allow you to explore this new Earth, paying attention to what you see, hear, feel, smell. Just begin your exploration now. As you move and explore, you'll notice how fluid and flowing your movements are. Noticing that there's no particular place to be, no particular task to complete. You are completely free to intuitively move around this space. Now I'd like for you to imagine that a pathway opens up before you. At the end of this pathway, you will be greeted by your community in this new earth. Go ahead and move down this pathway back home to your community in 3, 2, and 1. You'll notice that a circle of loved ones begin to form around you. In this circle, you may notice loved ones, ancestors, spirit guides, elementals, animals. Just take a moment to feel into the energy of your community surrounding you now. And allow all of their love and support to move into your heart space. Filling up this space until it's overflowing back into your community. Taking a moment to embrace any being that you feel called to embrace before we begin our journey back. Taking a moment to express gratitude for this new earth. And now imagine yourself beginning to float once more, this time floating above this new earth, this new world. Moving back down the pathway, the bridge, and back into the night sky. Moving even closer as you begin to feel that familiar gravity of Mother Earth pulling you back into the present moment. Taking back with you the feelings, the physical sensations of the body, and your vision of the new earth back into the current world with you. Know that this visualization will continue to remain vivid in your mind. Your creativity will continue to flow as we work together to manifest this new world, this new earth. Coming back into the present moment, into the physical body, with a beautiful sense of well-being, beginning to reintegrate by wiggling the fingers and the toes, acknowledging your roots that kept you grounded and safe. And when you're feeling deeply connected and in your body once more, opening your eyes with gratitude in your heart. Thank you, everybody.
Wow, thank you so much, Sarah. That was beautiful. What a journey. And thank you all again so much. Like, seriously, I am just overflowing with gratitude for all of your ideas and just this space coming together and sharing all of these ideas. And I can't wait to watch this again and just reintegrate it all. And I just love all the common threads, and I love all of you so much. So thank you, thank you. And yeah, we might have to do things like this more often. All right, have a great night, everyone.
Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.